Courtney and I have made a wrong turn, and we're still stuck in this cube. Welcome to the Wrong Turn Podcast.
Welcome.
Hey, Courtney, how are you?
Good. How are you today?
Not bad, not bad. Today we're doing the second installment of the Cube franchise. Cube Squared?
We can call it Cube Squared. It's stylized like that. It's Cube Squared : Hypercube.
Yeah, which... All right. I guess, yeah, Cube 2 also sounds a little bit better as far as marketing. Visually...
It looks good when it's Cube Squared.
When it's Cube Squared, Cube 2 rolls off the tongue better. Mm-hmm. For initial thought, you've already seen this movie. Give me some of your initial thoughts.
It's quick. It was a quick watch. I will be honest. Like it moves almost a little too quick.
It's a solid. It is a solid 94-minute movie.
Like there were points where I was like, I feel like they've known each other for 5 minutes, but they're like, come here, let me hold you. Like, there's just like a really I just feel like there wasn't enough time to really have this emotional response that they're giving in some parts.
Immediately, the suspicion starts. We're in the cube for 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden, like, paranoia fucking sets in.
Yeah.
Like, all right, this movie. I don't know if we should do like a recap now or later, but let's just get into it. And
do we just want to hit on why we're not doing the remake? We decided that we weren't going to do the remake of Cube because there was one. So
far, for our first venture, we're going to be doing originals and remakes, which there are plenty to do. We both found out we love the Cube franchise. We love Cube 1. I actually do like Cube 2. I like the whole series, except it lacks in certain parts, but I'm like, sure. I think the concepts are great and it's super fun. There is a Cube remake, and it came out, I believe, in 2021. And it is a Japanese remake, and I recently saw it with my Hoopla account. And it's not a paid advertisement because Hoopla is a free service. But yeah, feels like it almost is like a step-by-step remake or Japanese remake of the original. And I just feel like it just misses all the marks.
And I haven't seen it yet. It's something that I probably will just cause we've been doing this. But I'm taking your word for it. And we brought up Cube 2, and we just both thought it was a better fit.
Now, like I said, I've seen Cube 2. Like when it first came out, it premiered on Sci-Fi back in 2002. And I was just like, oh, I got to watch this because like, what else was going to do it back in high school? And I thought it was like the best. And of course, in retrospect,
Yeah, this was my first time seeing it, but I did enjoy it because, I do like Cube.
Tastes change, and I can see why it's not great, and we'll get into those things as we go along. But we're going to press play. It's going to be playing in the background. So we're just going to break it down not scene by scene, but maybe act by act as it goes along. Mm-hmm.
So I do want to say something right after that as we go into it. Directed by Andrew Sekula? How would you pronounce that?
I thought I heard somebody say Sekula.
Sekula, I think is right. Yeah, you're right. And beginning of Cube 2, we are seeing that the future people that we're going to be in Cube, basically, they're all, getting ready to be put in the Cube.
It sounds weird when you say future people, like we are watching a sci-fi movie.
Future people. Anyway. This director, when I first just Googled this, I was like, that name is so familiar.
Oh, I know where you're. Okay.
And then I quickly looked into it and I was like, Quentin Tarantino. He shot motherfucking Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction. Also he did American Psycho. With the fact that he did this, which I'm not hating on him at all. It was just funny to me.
That was the last thing I found out. Doing my research, I was like, oh yeah, maybe I should just look up this director, see what he's done, and find out he was a cinematographer on all those movies. I'm like, so he is
so talented.
He's so talented, and he is known, for making some of those memorable shots, like in Pulp Fiction, fucking where the two thieves are sitting in the diner, and that scene is so memorable.
Oh, and well, it's not the beginning, but yes, I know what you mean. Those two. Isn't she in the first cube?
No.
No, she isn't. I'm thinking of something else.
No,
but yes, then they rob the diner.
Yeah.
So we're getting her name. I wrote it. It's Becky. Is her name? The character's name. So this is the cold open. Cube cold open.
So it does come into play later. We have a lost Becky Young. We find out is her name, and she wakes up in the cube, much like our cold open in the beginning of part 1. And she's trying to figure out what's going on, and it's she opens up one of the hatches. There's 6 hatches. One.
So
on each.
it's this very similar cube to the first one, except for this one is always white.
Yeah, except
there's no colors.
And then this one, they don't have to turn the door; they just press the door.
Their hands, yeah, it's just like touch. So Becky flies up into the ceiling. There is no blood, but we're presumed she's dead. That's what I think they want you to think.
We presume she's dead. Also, we also find out that there's gravitational shifts in all of these rooms.
Yeah,
so maybe that's why she flew up as opposed to, fell down or whatever.
I like how it's a Ghost Logic production. I think that's a great production company name.
Yeah.
Ghost Logic. Meaning the rooms. Gravity operates in different directions in these rooms.
Oh, well, there's all sorts. They're all over the place with these fucking rooms.
They really are. You think the science and the math was hard in the first one, you guys?
Oh my God. At least in the first one, we could sort of put it together.
They had a theory.
We knew, like, I know a Momo, but, like, I was like, I can sort of pick it, like, 30 rooms, 400 feet. Like, yeah, it's a tall building.
It's big.
it's a really big building. But, like, this, we're like, all right, once we start getting into it, quantum physics, and they don't even explain it. They just say the words.
And then also, they're saying words, and they're like, suddenly it's just shrinking into itself and black hole.
Yeah. It's just like...
They're like, it's quantum physics. It's
quantum physics.
It's quantum physics. I can't even say it.
No. You said it right. That's the way we would say it.
It's quantum physics.
It's quantum physics.
That would be us.
And look, cube. So then we have our title.
It's stylized cube squared, but it's cube 2.
The opening sequence, the title sequence, beautiful.
What is it? A tesseract. A tesseract is what the hypercube is technically called in math. I did look it up. It's a real thing. Because I wasn't sure. I was like, are they just saying words? I never learned what a tesseract was in geometry.
I know they used tesseract, the word tesseract in all sorts of sci-fi and fantasy,
and you know what
mumbo
I probably
jumbo.
did learn about in geometry, but I just forgot.
Oh, I wouldn't know. I mean, I was... Yeah, I was under the influence for most of those years. But I don't think...
I really wish they would have taught us, taxes.
Maybe, 100%.
But then again, calculus would have come in handy when we're trapped in a cube.
I think we digress, but I think in 7th grade, like, I did have, like, one teacher have me look at stocks, and then I had one teacher, like, break down what I would make in a year and, like, how I would furnish my apartment and how much
I didn't even have that.
That was a fun little project. I don't remember anything else, but I remember that project.
Yeah, doesn't matter. This is also one of the longest opening credit scenes.
It is really long, and I don't understand how, like, going through, like, all right, so we are down on a molecular level.
We're getting, like, blueprints of the cube.
Yeah, but we start at a molecular level of the paper.
Yes.
And then we go to a blueprint of the cube, and then we go to a 3D version of the cube, and then we go down this tunnel, which I guess bleeds into the actual room itself. Turns out, like the first one, only one room was made.
Nice. I love that.
And every time they're looking into one room out the other...
It's a cube and a half, right? Is that how they do it?
Yeah, I guess, like, and they're able to, I guess, close it off, because there are some shots that show you all 4 walls. Mm-hmm. And every time they look out, it's basically green screened.
That makes a lot of sense. You can see the green screen when they're
acting. You can see the green screen, and it's something about... All right, so unfortunately...
This is our first second character is, what is his character's name? He's very forgettable. Colonel something or other. Well, it doesn't really matter because he's only in the movie for about, like, 2 minutes. Yeah.
But the only thing I was going to say about the green screen is that because of the stark whiteness, I guess you're able to see it a little bit less. And mind you, this movie is what, now 21 years old now? So, yeah, like that part of the green screen holds up fairly well.
Yeah.
But maybe just because of the simplicity of it. So let's give it to Andres Secula. All right, not bad. All right, so we're back with our colonel. We find out he's a colonel. He wakes up. He's beat up, and he's praying because he knows he's fucked.
He knows he's fucked. He's like, I'm in the cube. Evidence that praying does nothing.
So he knows what's going on. He's asking for his numbers.
We do find out that he's part of the government behind the cube, right?
I guess he works for the company.
Izon. Izon?
Where in the last one, we were basically just left with a bunch of questions, which left a little bit of the intrigue and mystery of the cube in the first place. This time, we're given straight answers.
Yeah, you're given the company name, who's behind it.
And we didn't need it. We didn't need it. It would have been even better if we were left hanging. We'll let our imaginations just kind of flutter, because now we know the answer, and we can decide whether we like it or not, as opposed to just letting our imagination run wild. And actually, I think for a second, you see a green screen on the
I was just going to say, I also noticed that the green... So, I think there was a green screen on the top of that cube part.
So we cut away from our colonel, and we cut over to Kate walking into a room, and we find...
Kate and Simon is his character's name.
Kate walks in and finds Simon, and Simon for Forever Motherfucking Night. Have you ever seen that show?
No.
Oh, man. So this guy...
Sorry, these shots are very, very Pulp Fiction, and kind of... There's things like that, like what I was looking at, being like, I see what you did there, Andrew. Like...
see, I didn't even think about that before.
Like that one right there? Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
It's good. It's cheesy as hell, that the fact that this Simon guy just is like, I got a knife! But...
And so many, I'm going to say this over and over again. It looks like a steak knife.
It does.
Looks like a cheap steak.
It looks like he bought it from the Halloween spirit store.
And he's got a, like, that doesn't seem impressive or threatening.
But, just like the first one, we have a really overly aggressive authority figure right away. Just right away.
Which, and I don't mind that. I don't mind if
no, me either.
Like if we're continuing with our franchise, I don't mind if every time we got one guy that just sort of...
I liked it. I was like, okay, so this is Mr. Crazy.
So the character Simon Grady played by... Wait, I actually can't even say his fucking name right. All I know is that this guy is the guy from Forever Night, which is a TV show where he plays a police officer that is also a fucking vampire.
Oh, that's fun.
It is, like, and as a little kid watching that show, it was just like, it's a stupid premise, but I'm like, oh, of course, he's a cop, and he's a cop, and he's a vampire. Awesome.
So now we're seeing it once again, like the idea of each room has like different, how do I even explain it? So they're seeing another guy going back and forth from the rooms of the cube at like a insane speed, because he's going from one side to the other, but it's also like a time warp.
Yeah, that's kind of we don't get to that part yet, but like, yeah, that would explain how this kid was able to do this. So as Simon and Kate are talking, they're interrupted by who we find out is this kid named Max, and then Max is all of a sudden just able to pop out in each individual room, which also doesn't make any sense, because like it doesn't seem like they know rhyme or reason how to get from room to room.
But also Max wasn't talking to them. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Because he was seeing something else. Like, they're all... like, they were just seeing him, and he was just seeing... I don't know.
Oh, you know what's actually funny, though? That actually adds to the premise of the movie, and those are just probably all just different Maxes.
Yeah, because at some point, there's, like, different realities of them.
So the whole thing about the Hypercube is that... Or the premise of this Hypercube... Which a hypercube is a tesseract, and a tesseract is a hypercube, and it's a square within a square, and whatever.
It's a cube, a four-dimensional cube that has 8 cells around it.
Okay,
that's, I believe, that's what the gist of it.
Sure, and they've
You're like, I guess,
and they've been able to make this hypercube, and apparently within these rooms, essentially, like as you go from room to room, you might be crossing into parallel universes.
Now Kate's meeting Sasha, and she is blind.
And she uses a hard R word.
She did. Hard R.
I used to love Jerry.
I like Jerry too. I think Jerry's my favorite.
So then we're introduced with our last character. Or not our last character, but our second to last character, Jerry, which turns out to be the engineer who designed it. It was much like in the first one, again.
Yeah, much like Worth in the first one. We have each of them are related to this thing.
Well, in the first one, you didn't find out that everybody was related. You only found out that one character was related, and that
but they all served a purpose. You're right.
They all served a purpose for getting through the cube.
But look, Jerry's doing the classic, I'm going to write on the wall with my button.
I get it. You know, I do it. You don't. Oh, he's running it with his watch.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So that makes a little bit more sense than buttons in the first one.
But I didn't even understand what he was doing for a while, because if you don't see him take his watch, put his watch back on in this scene, you have no idea what he's writing with.
You're right. But he's numbering the rooms, which is a smart idea. Yeah. He's like, each room I go into, I number it, just, so you don't get confused.
And of course, we haven't figured out. I know we're jumping the gun. We haven't figured at this point in the movie. We have not figured out that we're parallel universes or hypercube or whatever. So these guys are still just trying to figure out.
There's just weird things going on.
Yeah, they hear a noise, much like in the first one. Again, all these things that made the first one great, they're just kind of taken and like. So supposedly they're hearing things much like you would in the first one, where you knew it was the elevators moving around the rooms.
Yeah.
And I guess this is a similar case, but and they immediately know that the rooms are changing.
Yeah.
That's what Jerry says. It's just the rooms are moving around. Like, how the fuck do you know?
Yeah. So Jerry knows everything. They're all running in because now the colonel from earlier is trying to hang himself. And Max was in there. So they're now meeting Max officially. Was in there trying to help him, and then here comes all the characters minus one more. There's one more we have to meet or get to meet.
Yeah, we find the colonel hanging himself, and then everybody.
So they're all trying to save him.
Everybody just happens to just end up in the same room together.
Yeah,
yeah, I can see how Andre is really good at these close-up shots and being able to give a lot of information. Like, you're seeing the colonel at the top, and then you're seeing Max trying to hold him and just slobbering all over him. I'm like, I did think I noticed like these close-up shots.
Even this one with Sasha sitting like that and them, and like, he's a great cinematographer. And you can see that in like little things that he does. It's just,
I just think that like you can only polish a turd for so much. I think it's just like the script lacked in a couple of places.
And I didn't look at this actor who plays Max. I did not look at his credits, but his acting in this movie,
he's from USA's La Femme Nikita TV show. He played our hacker.
He played another hacker.
He played that computer guy. Yeah. And it was the 90s, early 2000s.
But his acting in this, I'm just like, Max. Every time he comes back, Max.
It almost seems like they ADR it like half the time.
God.
What is it? And in that TV show, he was the cool hacker guy because he always wore like sunglasses, like tiny sunglasses, but inside.
That was very cool. He's also the cool hacker guy in this movie.
Well, so he's a computer.
He's a computer hacker.
He's a computer game designer. That's what he is.
Oh, I thought. Okay.
No. You find out who the computer hacker is afterwards.
Well, we know who that is. We're not going to give that away yet.
So, like, what is it? We're in now. It's 60 minutes into the movie. And like I said, all right, it's fine. And then this is where like that suspicion bleeds, and everybody
exactly. So Kate is holding Sasha, and she goes, "I'm not going to let anyone hurt you." You've known her for like 3 minutes.
Okay, but knowing what you know now, right?
Yeah.
If you see Kate's relationship with Sasha, you can infer why she's acting like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like now, if you look at her, you see that. I mean, I guess we can just give it away. If you haven't seen this movie's like 20 years old.
I mean, we've already given a lot of it away.
This movie's like 21
Again,
years old.
if you haven't seen it and you're listening to this, I mean, go watch. You don't have to watch it.
Come back and then hear us talk shit about it.
Sasha ends up being Alex. What is it? Alex Trusk.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we need two more. Sorry, we need two more characters. I totally forgot about her.
Side note, we're introduced to
Mrs. What's her last name? Penley? Pegley? Haley. And she's clearly suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's.
Oh yeah, somebody online had called it short-term memory loss or something or other.
But she is revealed to have, before this memory loss, was a mathematics professor.
She's a theoretical mathematician,
yes.
So I guess only working on supposed or
so she knows a lot about the
equations.
Tesseract or the Hypercube,
which we find out later. And then, like I said, everybody in this cube is essentially tied to it one way or another, and apparently is just being knocked off.
Yeah,
like this is just an elaborate scheme to just assassinate people.
Pretty much,
yeah,
it is elaborate. But yeah, Alex Truss, aka Sasha, ends up being like this huge hacker behind the
Hypercube. So we find out is that Alex Truss works for Izon. Jerry works for Izon.
Mm-hmm. The Colonel is just part of the government that knew about Izon.
Oh, so he was probably trying to stop him, and then they had him knocked off. But then we find out Miss Paley works for Izon, and
yes, she did before. Obviously, she isn't anymore because again, the memory loss, dementia, whatever she's suffering from.
And then we find out that
Kate
also works for Izon, and she's in there to try to retrieve Alex or retrieve something from Alex.
Yeah.
Or Sasha, that she ran into the cube with, which, all right, it looks like a USB drive.
Yep.
But I think this was before USB drives existed, which I actually have a USB that looks exactly like what Alex has. We never, ever hear about it ever again.
Never.
We don't know what it is. And it's just all it is explained that basically it's just the information essentially that created the Hypercube.
Yes.
All right. So this is where the movie kind of gets me a little bit, right? We don't have.
Here's the green screen. You missed it. Or there was a very clear. Max was very clearly in front of. They're both
100%.
very clearly in front of that.
They are masked out.
Again, I'm not for like you said earlier. It's actually aged pretty well, but you can very clearly tell that they're standing in front of a green screen.
Oh yeah, but this is what it kind of gets me right here is because we're about to have a trap revealed to us. But these traps make no sense.
Nope.
And these guys can just sort of walk from room to room
freely.
Unlike
the first one where we had like the boot and there was it was just so, even though it was cheesy, it had a purpose.
It had so much tension.
It said tension. Yes. There was when you enter the room, you're like, oh fuck, like what's this one gonna be?
Oh,
and it was exciting as a person who likes traps.
Oh, speaking of traps, there's one called, what was it? Escape Room?
Yes.
And Escape Room 2, was it Breakfast of Champions or whatever the fuck? Those were actually really fun. I kind of hate or I don't really like big budget, movies, but I think those movies were great.
Yeah.
Those movies were really, really fun. So
yes, as you were saying, we're now getting introduced to this trap, which is like
a fucking energy field. No, it's
not acid, but it essentially it's an energy field that it will burn you.
Yeah,
it will burn you alive. I guess.
Yeah, it's like a wall,
a laser wall.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in.
Right. I need a better math term for this.
Oh no, I don't think there is a math term for this. It's just it's. The only thing you could really say about it is that it's an energy field.
Field
that is closing in on all our characters, and the Colonel decided that he
was already handcuffed, but he handcuffed himself to the ladder in the cube, I guess you can call that, and then he swallowed the key because he's like, "Fuck this! I just want to die."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh,
he's over it.
I'm going out."
Made his choice,
like a pro. That's gonna suck though. That's a pretty.
And you
awful.
see, it takes out this briefcase.
Yeah, burns it,
like
annihilates it. It's fucking rough. That's a tough way to go.
Yeah, slow too.
Oof, I get it. In a sci-fi universe, you can basically make up anything.
You can.
And all right, cool, energy field. It's gonna burn everybody. All right, well, let's just go with that. But
here he comes.
But the traps got unlike the other one, there was a reason for them. There was a reason for the traps, right? Because you had it was basically leading you to a path that if you were in a cube, you were essentially thinking it was a labyrinth or a maze, and you were trying to get your way out. Here, like, what's the point of the trap? Are they actually trying to get out?
But like you said, this is just like a kill machine.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Oh yeah.
Like,
I forgot about that.
It's just.
Yeah, that's right. It's just a knockoff machine. Yeah.
But it's just, and as a man who, was a cinematographer for Quentin goddamn Tarantino, there's no blood in this movie.
It's very little blood.
Like, very, very little. When there should be.
Which is all right. Which is also weird because, all right, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
But all right, so they're running away from the energy field wall, and they're going from room to room, and you can see that it just sort of follows them to the next room.
Yeah.
But don't every time they go into a different room and they try to go back to the other room, the room's changed.
Yes.
So that
thing gets lost if it's still in fact doing that.
Yeah. See, that doesn't. I'm just gonna try to.
Yeah, we really gotta stop trying to make sense of it. We're both trying, but it's just not gonna work. It's just like, huh?
or I guess what gets me about the traps, and I'm sorry to keep harking on it.
We can keep harking on it because it lacks uniqueness.
Well, if they pull so many other aspects of all the other movies, or sorry, if they pull from the original so much, and then this one they sort of impersonate it, but not well, and it doesn't really drive. We spent more time with our characters, and we're giving a lot more plot than the first one.
Yes.
But this one doesn't have that factor of the traps that sort of gives us that tension that made the first one so good. And
they're just not as creative.
Oh no, let's go through it. I got a list.
I wrote shit down too. I was like, they're not creative, and again, the acting's poor, and it's.
I think that's why we like Jerry, because he's like the best actor.
Jerry is the best actor.
Is Jerry our guy who designed our doors?
Jerry's great,
and we're at the part where Jerry just doesn't hide anything because he's just a simple engineer.
Whereas you had Worth in the first one, who was like, oh, mysterious. This guy's just like, no, I fucking built this thing.
Yeah,
it was an experiment. Like, and then
he's like, I got hired to build a door. I built a door. Boom. There's nothing malicious behind it. He's just like, if you're getting paid to do a job, you're doing a job.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So we got Forever Knight interrogating Jerry here.
Forever Knight.
He's going to be forever.
He's Forever Knight, yeah, sure. And he's interrogating Jerry.
Vampire cop. Think about it.
He's a cop, but a vampire.
He's a cop, but he's also a vampire. Ooh. Look, that's a really good shot.
That's a great shot. No,
all right, so we got Forever Knight interrogating Jerry in the foreground, and then Kate. We have Kate like 10 feet in the background with a nice depth of field.
Frames between the two of them.
Right in between the two of them.
Fantastic shot. No questions asked about this man knows how to shoot a movie.
I think that's probably why some people like this movie. Look, all right, it has a 5.5 on IMDb and 45% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not great. 62%, but better than most.
Yeah.
Better than most, indie horror films that don't really see the light of day. And we're talking about this movie 20 years later. So, it's got something going for it. And then we're introduced to our Tesseract theory.
Yes. So, Mrs. Paley, she sees the Tesseract, the Hypercube. There's a little, I want to say drawings. That's not the word I'm looking for.
They're actually like engravings. Like, we look
they're
at
like engravings, but they're all around the cube. And she's like, we're in it, like calling it a Tesseract. Meaning, once again, like, it is a cube, but also has like the 8 cells around it.
Yeah. So it's essentially a cube that extends to 8 sides or whatever. I'm really bad.
I don't know. This is what I looked at on Wikipedia.
I also looked it up and I was like, cool. And that was it. That's as far
Again, I can say, just like last episode, I'm not great at math.
No.
So this isn't gonna... you don't want me in a cube situation.
Well, that's the thing. All right, so they made a hypercube, but they're like, all right, cool. So how are they in a fucking hypercube? That's what I don't fucking get. What? And we got Jerry sort of explaining it a little bit where he's like, all right, cool. You got length and width and depth, right? Which are 3 dimensions. And then they're going to
We all passed 8th grade, Max. Shut up. That's what he says. We all passed 8th grade.
Max is kind of a dick
He's
bag.
A dick.
Yeah.
He's a dick bag. But very similar, I guess, if we want to say I'm the math girl in the first one. She had those little zingers, little one-liners, and you're kind of like, ugh, okay.
Which is
her acting was better than his, but
barely. That's right. So we're introduced to our 3 dimensions, and then they're trying to introduce a 4th dimension, which is essentially his time. And it's not really supposed to be possible, but that's where we get a lot of our...
But this is what you were talking about earlier, where Jerry's just saying words. He's just like, yeah, it's a theoretical concept. Like, yes, if you live, but at the same time, you're just like, okay, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
Because all of them are like, huh?
Yeah, I would be too. I'm like,
yeah. Once again, you don't want me in a cube situation.
No,
I'm not going to be great.
We're going to get to our segment later. Are we surviving this? It's a new segment on our show. I think that needs to be added. Is Are we surviving this? And I'm not surviving the cube. So just like the first one, I'll choose a room. We are getting knocked off very, very quickly. Me and Courtney have no sustainable skills outside of this.
I'll tell you which room I do want to die in.
Which one?
Hopefully there's a hottie in the cube.
You're trying to... I get you. You're trying to spend your last days just knucking a buck until you fade away.
Don't tell me you don't want to be in that part of the cube.
Yeah, that was one of the appeals of this road. Yeah. So
that's my favorite part.
So going back...
It lasts so hard.
All right, so going back to it, where they're still in the same room, and all of a sudden they find a code. Or they find a sequence of numbers.
Oh, yes. 60,659 is the number.
Which they don't know exactly what that means, but, it's just something that wasn't there before and all of a sudden just kind of pops up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out later. And I think this is like the
stupidest. I'm so glad we just... The stupidest. Okay, we're finally meeting Julia? Julie?
Julia. Yeah.
And Max immediately raper, creepy McGee, goes into this room and he's like, well, hello. Because she's a beautiful woman, like just lying down in this nice, sexy red dress.
Uh-huh. And then all of a sudden he's just like, oh, sexy woman. I got to go see what that's about.
Basically.
Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty. Yeah. But then he goes into the room and again, gravity shifts. Because now he's almost falling.
He's basically, so basically he was right side up, and as he goes in, he's turned upside down, and it just all of a sudden shifts. And it's kind of funny that, like, it seemed like a very simple thing, but they had to get a stunt actor to do it, because you could see the wig and the change in the face and everything.
Again. Max couldn't hold himself up on the monkey bars.
Yes. I was like, I'd like to think if I was an actor, I'd be able to I'd have fun to do something simple as that.
I'd want to do stunts. Yeah. I would.
And I don't know if that's Max's real hair, if that's a wig either.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yes, I don't know. So he's going to go wake up Julie, who's just snoozing. Wait, what's her? Oh, she's the lawyer.
She's the lawyer. And
for Izon.
Well, she's working for one of their... She's in a lawsuit with Max, or they're on opposite sides of the same lawsuit, we find out. And she's working for a subsidiary of Izon. Mm-hmm. Which is fine, I guess. Whatever.
Why won't you give her mouth to mouth? She's not...
and Kate's kind of fucking with her.
I know, Kate's fucking with him, which is funny. Because Max is clearly just infatuated.
But also, like, settle down, Max.
Settle down. Like, he's very
thirsty right now.
Like, he's never seen a female in his life.
All right. Also, I don't understand this, right? They find Julie in the room below them. Max proceeds
falls into the room.
Or no, actually, no. It was in the room next door.
They all got into that room so easy.
Yeah, so they're going to the room next door, and it turns out gravity shifts, and then they're like, oh, well, I guess we'll just keep going. And instead of getting Julie to go back, so they can just pull one character to go back. They all decide, and then they have to make this fucking elaborate rope.
But, I guess throwback to the first one. You know how they tied all their shit together?
Okay. That's a good point.
Meaning they tied all of their jackets and their pants, and that's what they're doing right now.
But my logic brain just be like, let's just make a left instead of going straight.
I'm with you. Let's try the other door.
I do like that. I do every time they're upside down
and you see the behind into the other cube.
Well, it's like they always do a Dutch angle every time they're looking at a gravitational shift or something like that. And this was also pointless. Turns out Julie's wearing a random jacket. you know, Julia wakes up. She doesn't know what the fuck is going on. She hands her the jacket that she was wearing to Max. And like, what was that? It served
no purpose.
No purpose.
It is just it's just the bad script, really. It's just
like if it had a purpose, then they would have more information.
Well, yeah, because she wakes up and she goes, I don't even know where I had this jacket. Where am I?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. Like, you're not like, oh, she was wearing the jacket of another character or something that you could have done something that you made such the point, but there isn't. She just took her jacket off. Yeah.
So here they find out in this scene, they kind of retrace their steps. They find out they've all been kidnapped and what everybody essentially was doing right before they got kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
And where they all come from. Apparently they all come from all parts of the country. And they've all been put in one place at the same time. Or actually, that wouldn't even actually, if this is a hypercube, in theory, they wouldn't even have to be.
They could all be fake. They could all be another version of themselves.
Oh, see?
Which is another thing.
All right, this is what makes the movie, in my eyes, pretty good, is the concept behind the movie. Because once we start diving into that and like, they can all just be
Are we going to add to the other movie that we made last time?
Oh my God. All right. All right. Yes. Because yes, I'm glad you said that.
Yes. Yes. We need to write it down. Copyright.
Because yes, they could just be different versions of themselves. Right?
Yes, they could be.
This could just be one of many.
In the theory of this movie.
They could just be one of many versions that's working out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you could just, yeah.
Because that's the idea that they're giving us because they see multiple versions of themselves.
Yeah, we get to that part one, which I guess in theory, I don't know.
This is probably the house that they were all like staying in, like while filming the movie. This is like the backyard.
This B footage of like
this B footage
of like what they're all doing outside of the cube.
It was just someone being like, "This is where we're staying."
I also
this is downtown Toronto. Like, I don't know.
Not LA.
It's totally not LA.
I also don't like Julia's acting.
Oh, she's not great either.
She's not
Max
great.
and her are made for each other. And she's the most pointless character. They're both pretty. I honestly, of all the characters, Julia is just kind of like, eh.
Yeah. Like, they. All right, so if every character in our last movie served a purpose.
Those two don't do anything, really.
Yeah. And if we had. In our last movie, we had our nuclear family, our mom, our dad, and our two kids, right? And who else did we have in the other one? But here we have our essentially nuclear extended family.
Yeah.
Like, it is everybody. We got Uncle Jerry, we got the dad, we got the mom, we got the kids, we got the grandma.
Yeah, like Julia and Max are the horny teens.
Yeah.
And then, the grandma. Jerry is definitely your fun uncle.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And then mom, dad.
And then we're given. See, that's the only thing about this number. It's a red herring because they put it in the same place where the numbers from the first movie are. Again, we're taking from the original and we're not adding anything to it.
You're not adding.
We're just.
So expect less. If you're going to watch this movie, just expect less.
We're replacing the same elements from the first movie with similar concepts, but that don't go anywhere.
Yep.
And we're giving a sex scene.
And you're giving us sex scene. You got a little horny.
You got a little horny. Okay, so I'm going to touch base. So Jerry finds his second watch, but I'm going to touch base to this scene a little. I'm going to come back to this scene a little bit later. And it's going to be really fucking stupid when we get back to it. But all right, I do like this concept.
So Jerry finds his exact other watch, and that's when they start with the idea that there's other versions of themselves.
Yeah, and then I like how Jerry explains it, basically saying that I was just thinking that if I would leave my watch, if I had to leave my watch, it would be sad, but I would. And then all of a sudden, he finds a different version of his watch.
Yeah,
meaning that anytime you think you go down a fork in the road.
It's a parallel universe. So it's like you went this way and your other version goes the other way.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And
so whatever you didn't do, your other version does it.
Yes.
There's a great Futurama episode about that.
Right?
Yes.
There's a bunch of
I know there's a bunch, but there's one that specifically does that, and it's fantastic.
So
they found a dead guy.
They found another dead guy. And this turns out to be another doctor. who got knocked off in the cube, which also, this cube isn't really knocking off as many people as other people are just dying inside of like starvation.
Again, back to just like the lack of uniqueness in kills and traps, which again, the first one delivers so nicely with that tension of, can we go into this room? Is it safe? Where are we going? This one, like you said, they're freely just going in and out of every room. Because
this doctor just dies of like malnutrition.
Basically, you don't find out. He didn't get burned alive. He didn't get cut up into a million pieces.
Yeah. And then the other...
He just got tired.
And when we found the colonel before, he just tried to commit suicide. And he would have committed suicide.
He would have if they would have not interrupted him.
Yeah, and we do find out that the colonel committed suicide in almost every other version.
Which is really... So,
really fucking sad.
It's really fucking sad not to laugh. Like, suicide is not a joke by any means.
No, and if you need help, please contact somebody. But
we do mean that. Like,
but
for
like
real.
that's kind of fucked up.
It is fucked up.
All right, so then we find out that this is Dr. Rosenwig, and he's a doctor that was it? I forgot what the word is. Quantum chaos or some bullshit.
Quantum chaos. Oh, so many equations.
Yeah, exactly.
Screwed.
So yeah, you're just seeing equations written on the wall. He was trying to figure it out, and he comes to the number 60659. Oh, here's our number again.
Stupid ass number.
Which also, when we find out, like, how the fuck did you do that?
Literally, when we find out what it is, because we're not giving it away just yet.
Yeah.
It's so fucking stupid. And again, it's like, why did he... So this dead man has equations written all over his body in pen.
Mm-hmm.
And then all over the walls. Like,
which
it's just so dumb.
Which is funny because like she's got a pen, and she's got the pen from Rosenwig. Kate found the pen from Rosenwig. She's writing the number down, but on the wall it looks like it's written in pencil.
I know.
I'm just gonna say there. But so then look, all right, so going back to Kate. So once we find out that Kate's basically working for Izon, you sort of see that Kate's what she's really doing. She's sort of interrogating everybody. She's just trying to get more information. She's the one who writes down the number, because if you're a spy
and
if you die, but they retrieve your body, you'd have the information written on you.
Yeah.
So that's not, like in that aspect, I'll give the movie a little bit of credit.
Also, and again, we're not giving it away, I do kind of like the ending.
Oh, there's an alternate ending. Did you see the alternate ending?
No, I don't think I did. I just watched whatever free one was on Tubi.
Which I think is the same version of this one. This is the same one.
I honestly, the way it ended, I was like, yeah, cool.
The alternate ending, I think it's pretty much the same thing with just an extra line.
Oh.
It's like...
Okay.
Yeah.
From her? From Kate?
The guy that interrogates her afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh. So then here's where we find out where Miss Paley works for Izon, and she's got a dog named Skippy, and she gets them all mixed up, which it actually wasn't bad. It was an interesting version.
Mrs. Paley's acting is just, it's fine.
It's fine, but it was a good way to deliver exposition, right?
Yes.
Because you're giving tidbits and you're putting it together
yourself. You're like, Mrs. Paley, don't you mean that you worked for Izon and your dog's name was Skippy? Like, you're like, oh yeah. Like, there's Max and his fantastic acting.
There's another. See, but you don't. I think Andre, the director, just wasn't given like
Andrew.
Oh,
it's okay.
Was given like great cameras, because these really good shots that he wants to pull, like, sort of lack the depth of field, like the clarity in the foreground.
Yeah, I wonder what he was using. It definitely wasn't Tarantino's gear.
Because it's blurred out in the foreground where the conversation is happening, but it's crisp in the background.
So this is when we first get introduced to the Alex Trusk person.
Yeah.
We don't know who it is, even though we gave it away already. Yeah. But they don't know who it is. And Max is like weirdly obsessed with him. They keep referring to it as a him in the movie. A they. Let's use correct pronouns here. They.
And yeah, I guess like it sort of would have been like like a misdirect, be like, oh, you didn't know if it was Izon, if it was Alex Trusk or whatever.
And Alex is the one that created this hypercube. Right?
Yeah, you find out.
Okay. So I was like,
yeah, you're right.
Did I get lost?
No. It's once we start like breaking it down a little bit, it does get a little confusing. But yeah, we do find out later that Alex Trusk was able to create this thing. Or
like this insane expert computer hacker. I want to be a computer hacker in a movie. I feel like they can just do whatever they want.
Well, you need rollerblades and you need like, fancy, day glow gear.
Little sunglasses.
Little sunglasses. All right. So then we see Miss Paley actually run into a different version of herself. Mm-hmm. She's actually the first one to do it. That was actually a pretty.
There's a teeny bit of blood. So in this version, Simon kills Mrs. Paley, but then he gets killed off by some sort of trap in that cube.
Fucking doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
All right. The trap that it can.
I lost my fucking head.
All right. Granted, I do like this scene because it does drive.
Everyone starts panicking.
Everybody starts panicking, and Forever Knight starts to lose his fucking mind.
Yes.
Because, like, if you saw yourself get killed, it might freak you the fuck out,
yeah,
right?
That would be.
And then Miss Paley runs into a different version of herself, so this is where the first time we start to run into parallel universes of the main characters, and calls her an old cunt. That's a little rough.
I love the word cunt, but that was a little like unnecessary.
Oh, but also the traps made no fucking sense. Just beams across the fucking wall. Trap,
it was. So they're like blade beams. Like you don't even.
How would you know to walk away from it?
Exactly.
If it was all right. So we got energy field. We got beams. We got gravitational shifts. Well, later in our next room, we're gonna find the
time warp.
We have the time warp.
I guess we can call
going fast, going slow.
Aging room.
Yeah, because I guess if time's going fast,
it's like when they get there, I'll mention it.
But then we also have I actually like that scene. What was it? The quadrangular oscillation, which is
again, he's just saying words.
Which is the blender. That Jerry gets fucking chopped up.
Yes, that's what.
Which is the only real fucking.
It's the only really real besides the Colonel, that one, but
the fucking whatever.
Again, I'm so bummed that there wasn't more like fun traps.
And I think they do try to bring that back in the third one, which we're not going to do. We're not. We're not doing the third one. If you want to in your own time.
No, in my own time I might, but we're not doing it for this podcast.
But okay, so then this is where Jerry's trying to just fucking go off. And this is where Jerry's got a great fucking monologue. He's putting so much energy into it. And this is why we love Jerry.
Yes.
And I do like how Kate just slaps him because she's just like, what are you fucking telling me? And she just slaps.
Yeah. It's an optical loop. Okay, yeah, so now
I guess Max's purpose might be to just feed the opposite argument of everything. Like, what if this isn't a parallel universe? And what if it's just all an optical illusion? But
if he wasn't there, like, take him out of this. I don't know.
But it's not a great misdirect.
No.
Because, like, there's not enough valid points for it to be like, oh, we're all just drugged up, or we're all just an experiment. We're all just in an experiment, and it's not parallel universes. Because we come to find that, it's obviously parallel universes. Mm-hmm. And everything's just fucking going fucking wonky.
And again, it's the cube is closing in on itself, which I think that's the reason why they start seeing same rooms, right?
Yeah.
When they start getting to like the repeating rooms.
So another interesting aspect of this, going to like the hard sci-fi concept of it all, is that there is only one room.
Yes.
And then essentially they're just walking into parallel universes every time they go into a different room.
So you're definitely not getting out of this cube. There might be hope in the first cube. Might be hope.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because Anne gives us hope in the first cube. This one.
And And I think
unless you find out what that stupid fucking number means at the end.
Oh, trust me, which is like, oh, it's super convenient. Which is funny though, because even fucking Alex trusts the girl who fucking invented the fucking
doesn't know what the number is.
Doesn't know what the fucking number means.
And she's like, because she does deliver this line at the end. She's like, if I can't figure it out, you're never good.
Yeah, that's when like she sort of drops the facade and
the facade of her just being like this, like, help me, I'm blind kind of character she is this whole time. Also, she climbed. I mean, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm sure blind people are very capable. But there are certain scenes in this where you're just like, oh, okay.
I think she was. I actually don't understand. Because I would have liked to give that character a little bit more
depth,
more agency,
more like she deserves so much more in these scenes than I'm the sad blind girl in the corner.
Especially when we like come to find out that she fucking created the fucking place.
Absolutely.
She should be our fucking villain. She should be our fucking big bad.
She should have been the baddie.
Oh,
she should have been the baddie.
Actually, well, you find out she wasn't really killing. She wasn't. I guess we find out later she really didn't have any bad intentions. But like, I guess what would be the point of her being inside and then killing everybody off one by one? But like, that'd be a little bit of a weird turn. But
I wish there was more from her versus
100%.
Just the end where she is revealed that she's Alex Truss.
And I totally thought there was. You're
like, I was certain, but then there's not. You're like,
kind of like in the first one where I thought there was a lot more traps. I thought her character was revealed a lot earlier, and she had a lot more to say.
Yeah, but she doesn't, and not until the end. She doesn't do anything but just follow them.
And it could have just been one of those things where like everybody else just occupies the space and the time. Mm-hmm. For each scene where you don't have any space for this character right now.
Yeah. I do like that Julia's walking around barefoot and carrying her high heels. I would have just been like, yeah, I'm done with these.
Yeah.
And now we have this montage of them going from room to room to room to room to just...
So that's the other thing too. So like if there's only one room and they're just walking in parallel universes from room to room, there's no point.
There's no point. Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, you're not getting out of this thing. Are they then creating more parallel universes of themselves by going into each room?
Possibly, if that's the way it works, right? Where in one theory where if you're stuck between decisions and you go one way, you go and your parallel version of you goes the other way. Like,
oh my God, I would have loved it if there was like a scene where one of them walks in and there's just like 16 of their versions of them in that same room.
That's what I also don't like, you know.
Like Kate walks in and there's just 30 other Kates.
In theory, yes.
Yes.
In theory, like that should have been the fucking end. That should have been the fucking end. When we get to the fucking climax and everything's collapsing in on ourselves, like there should have been like fucking 10 versions of fucking Kate trying to fucking get out.
See, we're gonna come up with a better cube, you guys. We're gonna do this, and it's gonna be also very funny.
And it's gonna be cube quad cube.
we're gonna write it. It's gonna. Because, like, based off all of this information this movie is supposedly giving us, like...
Well, all right, so I don't know if you'd want to do it, but there's another one there's a nice little indie movie called Coherence, and I'm pretty sure you can either find it on Prime or...
I feel like I know exactly what that poster looks like.
And it's a small concept, or it's a big concept, but done really, really small, one room. 4 friends, or was it 6 friends, are having dinner one night. There happens to be a comet going by the Earth, and this comet essentially just is able to give some weird gravitational shift or whatever the fuck, and all of a sudden portals open up, and you're able to walk between parallel universes, but you have no idea because you essentially walk outside and all of a sudden you're in a parallel universe. You walk back inside and it's just like your house is slightly different and you have no idea, but it's the same set, right? You just keep walking into the same room, much like this.
Smart movie making, cheap.
Yeah. And that one's got same thing, tension, paranoia.
Okay.
Does a lot of things with a small budget, and then I think it's got a great ending. Highly recommend that one.
Coherence. Okay. So back in the Hypercube, Simon, the crazy cop, reveals that he's looking for Becky, that character in the very beginning with the cold open. He was sent in to find her.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't even know if we even find out that's Becky in the beginning. I think it's only revealed later. And this setup...
Oh, so this is like the one trap we really get to see.
Quadrangular oscillation.
Yes, I know that off the top of my head.
Because the only reason is because it's... Because Mrs. Paley says it right now. But the way they were all just sleeping right now, and they're just taking a break, we do come back to that room later and they find out they're all dead.
Yeah.
Which I didn't... That's never been able to pull that one together until now.
Yeah.
So we're going back to our weird floating shape.
It's a weird floating cube that...
Which we see basically like a version of a hypercube in there. And Miss Paley's amazed by it.
I guess the only thing Sasha really adds is I guess she does like, oh, it feels wrong in here. Like that's what her character does.
Oh yeah, she could be like our warning.
Oh no, this is where Jerry gets, he not quite yet, but he got
cut a little bit, but also like I don't like these traps don't make any sense. Like where do these traps come from?
So this thing is like a barbed I don't want to say barbed wire, but it's like a sharp fucking cube that's doing dodgeball in this cube.
It's a fucking weird blender thing.
It's a blender. Yeah, you said blender earlier is a better word.
It's a cube.
A cube blender.
It's some
It's
shit
a ninja. What are those? Ninja blender.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and it's just bouncing around, and if it hits you, it cuts you. It got Jerry a little bit, and then...
so the only reason I know is because what Ms. Paley says, she calls it, and it just starts, all the angles, all the squares start basically rotating into each other, and it just becomes like a real...
And then it gets Jerry.
And it
just blends him up.
But also, not a speck of blood anywhere.
Not a speck of blood. They CGI'd some blood in that. But again, I wanted a cube covered in blood.
Oh, 100%. Considering like the way like this cuts up Jerry so hard, I would have loved to see splatter everywhere.
Sir, you worked for Quentin Tarantino.
By this point,
how to do that.
Because this is 2002. What, Pulp Fiction came out in 94, 96, something like that?
Reservoir Dogs was before Pulp Fiction. Oh. The ear scene?
Just Tim Roth laying on the floor, just blood, just like...
Come on.
All right. So then...
Kate goes back into the blender room because Sasha's stuck.
Because our quadrangular oscillator is basically expanding to the size of the room. But yeah, Kate is able to... And this is where the graphics don't hold up.
Mm-mm.
Like I don't understand how... It looks like it should be hitting Kate in the face.
Oh, absolutely. She should be blended up.
100%. Everybody should be fucked.
Everyone should be blended up by this fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's clearly hitting her in the head.
But it doesn't...
Clearly hitting Sasha, but we're just moving past it. Like it's...
I do like how she tells come to
follow my voice.
Yeah, Kate tells her to just move towards me, and then Sasha runs, but she didn't tell her what direction to run.
I know. Just move. You have to move. Where? She's blind.
Yeah, exactly.
And she has a blender thing trying to attack her.
I thought that was really good. You should have said left, bitch.
You should have just say left. I know what left is, dumbass. You should have said left,
come
bitch.
The fuck on.
You said you would never let anything happen to me.
But if we go back to,
I know.
All right, yeah. Our Kate is a secret agent.
She's a secret agent. But this is where they learn. If you don't look at it, it goes away.
Well. Not yet. They're just in the room. They're trying to figure out how the fuck they're gonna get out there. Like they figure they have to move. They're gonna make a run for it, and it seems to be shrinking in size. And then they do find out that if it is tracking apparently it's tracking them. I don't know how she knows it's tracking their movements. I don't know at all.
This makes no sense.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't.
But in a second from now, she's going to realize that the more that they move, I guess the more that it moves.
Okay, so it's not just looking at it. It's based on movement.
But I guess they say if it's tracking your movements, then it should have just killed you by now. Like,
Yeah, because they were only still for not even
this is the great one right here. This little
where it gets her glasses.
It gets her glasses, then all of a sudden, this slow mo.
This.
Yeah.
Like I wanted this sound effect.
Which is now I know why it doesn't work, because Sasha's face is in the foreground and she's in slow mo, but the blender thing is happening in real time. That's why that was weird.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see.
So then now they find out if they just stay perfectly still,
it responds to our movements.
It's our Jurassic Park theory.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's Tyrannosaurus. You know, don't move.
It quiet down. Real quick. It gone.
Disappears. This also reminds me like of a fucking dungeon in fucking Zelda.
But also, once they start moving again, does it come back? Like, is this room?
It should 100%.
Yeah, this room. But also, is it permanently this trap in this room? Again, with the parallel universes, you never know when you're going to bonk into a trap.
The only thing I kind of was able to pull from this one was that I think they're in this room for quite a long time, and anytime they might be in a room for an extended period of time, a trap might come out. Like when they're in the room with the Colonel, that's when the energy field comes out.
Yes.
If that would have been like a running concept in the movie, then like we can only be in a room for a certain amount of minutes
before traps show up.
That'd be great.
That's great.
But no.
No. That's a great idea.
That's a great idea. But it doesn't happen. It only happens a couple.
Like if they would have figured out like, hey, we can't be in this room any longer than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Boom. Like then traps show up.
Yeah, because then you constantly have to like case all the other rooms real quick, see if there's traps in that one, and then just constantly be moving. So you can't even rest.
Yeah.
Because we do get to a couple of rooms where they rest in, where they just sit down.
Yeah.
And just like take a nap.
Yeah.
And then we come back to Forever Knight, who's interrogating Miss Paisley.
The poor old woman.
Yeah.
Like.
This is where Forever Knight really starts to lose it.
Yeah.
Which he's a good actor.
Yeah.
He's fine.
But yeah, there's absolutely no reason to be tying up this old woman.
Yeah, poor lady.
Yeah. Like he's gonna get some secret information out of her.
Also, you can't talk if your mouth is gagged.
Yeah. Sir, you call yourself a secret agent? Don't believe you.
It's just all right. It's just this steak knife is just. I mean, I get you. You could murder somebody with this steak knife.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem very threatening.
No.
It just feels like it lacks a little bit.
I'm not threatened by your steak knife. It's gonna take you a long time, dude.
I think he also doesn't actually get any information from her.
No, he doesn't. What is she gonna tell him?
We get way more information from Miss Paisley just rambling.
Yes. Just walking around talking about her dog.
But then again, look. So, like, let's say they've been in this room for an extended period of time, right?
Mm-hmm. Is this where Miss Paisley gets it?
Yeah, which she sort of doesn't get killed. It's weird.
It's weird because, again, you see many versions of her. This is the weird room we saw earlier where he got his head knocked off.
Yeah.
So this is like the spikes.
They're weird. They're like crystals that are coming out of the wall. This was what I call the reject room from Superman's Fortress of Solitude.
Reject room.
Because these sort of looks like the crystals that are everywhere in Superman.
It does.
So everybody's freaking out. Everybody starts leaving. These beams or crystals or whatever the fuck are coming out of the wall. We're not really explained.
Again, they should both be dead based on what we just saw. But Simon stabs Mrs. Paley not by accident, even though he made it. He very purposely stabbed her.
He ties her up, then he's trying to save her, and then she's holding on to her, and then she won't let go because he realizes he doesn't have enough time. Then he just starts stabbing her a bunch of times. And it also doesn't look like she's getting killed.
It doesn't. It just looks like the things flew out, like just went over her.
Yeah, it just looks like it's covering her.
Because she was just kind of laying down.
And this is where Max and Julia are
Max and Julia kind of are like, this guy's fucking crazy. And so
we just got to head out real quick.
And so now we're witnessing more of this time lapse because now.
Yeah, this is what I think. What is he calls it? Time variation or variable, whatever the hell.
Gravity? Is it? No, it's not. Is it?
Which I also don't understand what kind of time shift that is.
Yeah, me either. They just like slow. He saw them like slow mode slow motion run across the cube into the other, and then
You can still catch him, buddy.
yeah, you could still go after them, but he just watched him.
Yeah, you just watched him like sort of like still framed every other second. So they were either moving so fast they left like photographic impressions on. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And then we have another equation or another number, which also doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We also don't know what those mean. And then this is where we're back with Alex or Sasha and Kate, and basically just it's sort of leading you in the direction that it's not a math equation or a room number.
It could be anything. She's like, it could be a zip code, it could be a birthday, da 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 da.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
And I think going back to like one of the interviews with the director, I think he wanted it to be a simple answer, and that's what we find out later. Is just that.
Yeah, but I feel like you could have done
a ridiculously simple answer.
It's a ridiculously simple answer, and it's just stupid. It's just when it got, I was just like, really? Ugh. And I like stupid shit, so it's like, okay.
So we're cutting back to.
Oh, now we're back with Max and Julia.
And I don't know why this had to be the thing where just because Max designed the time variable rooms in his games, he has to be the one that's knocked off by time variation or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like part of it.
Yeah, like
that hair again.
Yeah, like
hair.
Turns out that they find out they're both on the opposite side of this lawsuit, and they both get knocked off by this. It's weird. So Julia goes into a room. Turns out she's going really fast.
He's going really slow.
And he's going really, really slow, which doesn't happen to any other character.
No, it's just these two.
Yeah.
That variable time speed rooms. Ooh. He said it. Okay.
Also, cutting back to our first episode, it looks like everybody shops at the Gap.
Everyone went to the Gap.
I know what they didn't spend the budget on. Wardrobe.
Did they call Desmond Harrington? Did they call him? Because he's the manager there.
So we're cut back to so everybody's left Forever Night by himself, and then he runs into
another version of Jerry.
Oh, Uncle Jerry's back.
Uncle Jerry's back. He ain't dead.
This is what I love about it. See, because we were sad Jerry died.
We were, but then we were like, oh, he's back.
He's back.
No, because like Simon is also like, you're like, what the fuck, man? You got shredded like deli meat, I think he says.
Yeah.
And this Jerry's like, I've never met you. Like that's like this version of Jerry has never met Simon.
This version of Jerry says he just woke up.
Yeah.
See, this is one of the other things I don't really get because, I mean, I like the concept.
Yeah.
But we're never led to believe that, like, that Forever Night is going to be, like, has been starving or hungry this entire time. And then all of a sudden he's just going to eat Jerry.
Yeah.
Like usually you want to kind of like pepper those things in,
mm-hmm.
so they lead up to this.
Because it hasn't been that long. Is it?
They say it's been a few hours, I guess. And then he just says that, you know.
Well, he's asking, he's like, "Are you hungry?"
But good shot.
It's a great shot.
It is a great shot because they are like an inch away from each other.
Yeah, that face. Is so. That's. Like back to like acting school, film school, like when you are filming something for camera, you have to be insanely close to someone, even if it looks like the way we're sitting. I'd have to be like right next to you to make it look like we were sitting this far apart on screen. Yeah. Oh yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm. So they were basically making out in that scene.
Yeah, they were. I mean, he looks like their faces are about to touch.
Yeah.
And then we find out that Forever Night has eaten Jerry, which when we cut back to it, not a lot of blood.
No, again. It's like, dang, they're cleanly. Very cleanly.
And then we find out that Simon is basically eating several versions of Jerry.
Yeah, Simon's so hungry.
Well, exactly. Like how many
versions of Jerry did you eat?
Uncle Jerry's pretty husky guy.
He's a husky dude.
And I don't think...
How did you cook him? You just ate him raw.
No, he just ate him raw.
Yeah. I just think it was very dramatic to resort that quickly to cannibalism.
Right? There's nothing leading up.
Yes. Like you said, like if you speckle it in. This is what you were talking about when they go back to that one room where they were napping and they all look like Halloween decorations.
Oh yeah, so I was gonna say like they also didn't spend money on these dummies.
They bought the dead skeleton dummies from Spirit Halloween.
That's exactly what I was about to say. and they're used several times. So then we're finding out that we're coming across more of our different versions of ourselves, our different versions of our main characters. We're cutting back to, so now it's just all over the place. So hence, like you said before, if there's parallel universes, they should just be running into each other all the fucking time. Especially
that it's as you learn, it's closing in on itself.
Yeah.
You should walk into a room and be like, oh my God, look, there's 8 of me.
And if in this theory is that there's infinite possibilities because there's infinite choices.
Yes.
Like your version, you might have only had 2 choices to make, but then what if that version had several other choices to make? Then spawning off different versions, what have you. There should just be constant. You should just be constantly
running into another version of yourself and grabbing that person and be like, what happened to you? Tell me where you went, what happened to you, how do we get out of here? Like, I don't know. There is just so much room for fun.
I mean, I guess they're trying to say like there's infinite space.
Yes.
In these fucking rooms.
Back so with Max and Julia again, and now, like you said before, they're talking about the lawsuit between his game. It was his game, right?
Yeah, but also it's his game that he has a time variable rooms, but that also means that each of these rooms were designed and not a feature of a parallel reality. You know?
Yes.
Like I could see that if you go to a different parallel universe, time might be sped up or time might be slowed down. But now they're trying to tell you that he designed some of these rooms or aspects of these rooms. So
that's they think they want you to think that.
Yeah.
And then back to what you're saying, she's the lawyer being like telling him to settle. Like, you're never going to win that thing against Izon.
Also, the acting of the scene is like, he's like, oh, that's right. You're a lawyer.
Yeah.
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 And then she's like, tell me, okay? People are dead, okay?
Yeah. It's just, it's like, oh my God, just get to the sex scene. Like,
I was like, just the fact that you would say okay after like people are dead, okay?
People are dead, okay? No, you don't say it like that.
I don't think you would ever say it like that. Is it just that
people are dead, okay? Do you understand?
Oh, what the fuck? That's why I was just like, oh, it's cringy.
Oh, you're a lawyer.
Oh, you're a lawyer, right? Like, right? You don't know everything about her because you've been obsessing about her,
yeah.
Max.
Oh, that's right, you're a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Those two.
And it seems like they do shoot some stuff in like high frame rate because you see them looking really, really crisp.
They do. Even for how old this movie is.
Yeah.
Like that shot there of Simon, he looked great.
He looked super crisp. That means either like they were shooting at like, I don't know, a higher frame rate. So that's
and I think he went on to eat another version of Jerry in that scene.
Which is great because it's sort of, he just like walks in, he introduces himself.
Oh, I get this mouth-watering feeling when I talk to you, Jerry. Yuck!
The only other thing that you might be able to infer is that Forever Knight's just been in these rooms longer.
How hungry? Again.
And he's just getting really, really hungry.
He ate all of Jerry 1, and then he's like, oh, found him again. So hungry.
Also, very little blood.
Yeah.
Like his face should be just like Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal Lecter, clothes, everything.
Everything. You don't have water to wash your hands with, which is another thing.
He only has his little steak knife. How is he getting all that meat off?
And then we're cutting back to
Sasha and Kate.
And this is where we find out who
Sasha
really
is actually Alex. But Kate's like, hell yeah. Because she's a secret agent.
But if you see her face sometimes, you sort of see her like interrogating people, pushing people along.
Mm-hmm.
And then how she's really protective of Sasha because she knows who Sasha is.
Yes. And she needs to get what she needs to get.
Which is okay. Which makes the rewatch a little bit better.
It does.
So then we find out that Alex made the Hypercube. She found out they were putting people in here and that she couldn't have it. And then they tried to shut her up. So she ran into the cube
to get away from him. again, why now? Again, with the rewatch, Kate being sent in there to get whatever they need from Alex.
Cutting back to, which I'm sure we're going to cut back to Julia and Max in a second, but that last scene where we find out that they were in a lawsuit also doesn't feed the plot anymore, other than knowing that they are tied to the cube. They're
tied to the cube. Here we are back with these two, like you just said. Again, they, like I said, they don't really add much to the plot other than...
Like, usually, like, if you're finding out more information like that, like, everybody's tied to the cube and everybody finds that information out together, like, it reveals something, but now they only know that.
Yeah. They only ever know that because this is their death trap.
Yeah. They've walked off and they're gonna, have one last fling before, I guess they don't know they're gonna have one last fling.
Yeah, they don't know that. And like Julia's whole thing, she's like, I would never kiss you in the real world. Like, Max isn't unattractive.
No.
I don't know, because he's a game nerd. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I like it because, like, are you into computer games?
Are we going to into computer games?
Like, did you know about computer games?
So we have their little passionate sex scene here. You can call that. They just really make out, and you see like a boob.
Yeah, you start making out. They start going out. I don't understand where the floating comes into it. Like,
who turned the fan on?
Yeah, like exactly. Like, what part? Like, I could understand. Like you said, going back to parallel universes. They walk into this universe. There's no gravity wherever the fuck. They can float around. Sure, but that doesn't. It's not how it starts out.
Right. So they are having sex and they lift up into the air and they start aging rapidly.
Yeah.
And then that's how they die. They die mid-coitus.
I mean, I could see that. If you walk into that one and you have no idea the time is passing by, you spend too much time in there, all of a sudden, like...
Yeah, that's why I said I'm going to choose that room. Like I said, I hope there's a hottie in my cube.
I do like how, all right, so we're back with Forever Night. I do like how he starts collecting.
He collects the watches as he eats Jerry's.
That's great.
I do really like that. Souvenirs. Oh, and he finds Becky.
He finally finds Becky.
That was his sole purpose.
Yeah. You find out that his parents hired her.
Mm-hmm.
Or hired him.
Hired him to find her, and she's like, thank God. Like, I never thought I was going to get out of this fucking cube.
Which also, parallel universes.
Exactly.
Should have run into her sooner.
Should have ran into her sooner, and then he just kills her. Because he's lost his mind.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't eat her, though.
Actually, you don't know that.
True. He only likes eating Jerry, though. That's his preferred taste. He's like, you gotta love these parallel universes.
Which is a pretty good line.
Yeah. He's really... You know what? He's really taking it in. He's like, you know what? I'm in parallel universes. I'm just going to kill people. I'm just going to eat.
I mean, he's going to be able to survive the longest because essentially, like, what, maybe you could drink their blood then?
Do you get any water from that?
Is there water in blood? I don't know. Somebody write it.
Somebody write it and tell us how the human anatomy works, please. No, but humans are like 80% water, so I think you would get some sort of water. So yes, that's my answer. You would be hydrated.
You would be hydrated.
Oh, again, there's another version of the Colonel that has successfully hanged himself.
Which I think, like when I originally watched this, I thought they made.
I thought they went into the old room.
I thought they were just walking in circles.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yes, and there's the dead.
They're the dead bodies.
The dead people having sex in the air. Oh, I love that.
So they shot this in front of green screen too, like, but I thought they were actually doing it inside the room itself.
And also, again, with those fucking skeletons from Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, not the best. I don't know if it's just that. I'm pretty sure it's because they're cheap and not because this movie is 20 years old.
Yeah, no, they were just cheap for then as well.
So here's where we start figuring out that all the rooms are collapsing in on themselves.
Yeah, this is like because the hanging comes in.
So yeah, because now all of a sudden the Colonel starts appearing on all the walls.
And all the walls.
And then all the writing appears on all the walls. And everything.
But back to what you were saying, because the Colonel starts appearing on every single side of the cube, right? Yeah. Or does he just keep coming in on one?
Well, I think she saw him on the left side, then she saw him behind her. So it kind of feels like he's appearing on all the walls.
Okay.
Or I guess only one version appears. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. We're trying really hard to try to like make this make sense, but it just
like, all right. Granted, if I were writing this, like I would only be able to get past the superficial level.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because I don't know shit.
Yeah, I don't know shit either. So I would also be like, we're just gonna say these big words and hope that everyone is just like, okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah, because sorry, I was just going back because I thought as well that they were just finding an old room, but he got burnt alive and he was handcuffed to the ladder. Remember?
Yeah. So
they're seeing him hung. So that's a different universe where he successfully killed himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So this is where we also find out that Sasha knows that the whole thing is going to implode and it's unstable and it's all collapsing in on itself.
Okay, so now she's seeing
the beginning of the movie.
The beginning of the movie with that wall where the colonel gets like burned alive, basically. Yeah.
Which is not bad.
No, so
I like the idea.
I like it too. That she's going from each cube and seeing that's already happened to them. Like there's Mrs. Paley not dying.
Yeah.
Like she's just hanging. Well, she got stabbed, but she was just hanging. There's Jerry getting blended up.
Oh.
And then a
different version of getting killed by those stupid beams.
Those crystal things. I don't fucking know what those are.
No idea.
And then Simon shows up. Crazy. He does have a teeny bit of blood, but not nearly. She stabs him in the eye.
Great concept.
I did like this a lot. So she immediately stabs him in the eye, turns around. He's got Sasha or Alex.
Got Sasha.
His eyes all fucked up and healed.
Who knows how long he's been
exactly.
In there. That was one of
He also looks way old. Yeah. Like he's gray.
Not great makeup. But
bad makeup. But
he either walked through a winter storm or he's been in there for years.
He went through a blizzard or he's been in there for at least 50 years.
Yeah, which is a really, really, really good cut. I love that.
I love it too. I would have loved if he was like, there's a blizzard cube around the corner. Careful.
Sorry. That's
what he looks like.
But this is what I feel like we're coming up with is like one of the biggest letdowns is that they sort of just like knock off Alex right here. Like,
they do.
Like
again, back to they could have made her character so fucking cool.
Yeah.
So Alex says it doesn't matter. We're all dead anyway because she does know what this thing is.
Yeah.
But then Simon just goes, oh, "Okay, dead." Snaps her neck.
I mean, turns out she does become like a bit of a fucking downer. She's just like, we're not getting out of here. We're all gonna fucking die regardless. So he's just like, all right, cool. You're dead. You're dead. Forever Night takes her out, and then you see he's covered in Becky. He's covered in
badges.
Right,
again, he's been collecting trophies.
Look how many merit badges I got.
I like Simon,
which is weird because like Simon is like.
So, and now we get to this point where they must be down to the final cube.
Yeah.
Because she sees herself enter herself from the other cube. This is so confusing.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's
and then he like jumps, and then she jumps on him.
Well, you know what's weird about that is Simon's confused about it, but like, dude, you already know it's parallel universes. Yeah. So like, why would you be confused by? And then we have our final fight scene. You know.
So he has 4 Jerry watches. He ate 4 Jerrys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe he ate some Jerry's and didn't have watches.
That's the fucking part where she figures it out. She's looking at all the watches. And here we go, guys. You want to know what that number means?
So we come to the end and we figure out that the 60659 actually is a time signature where all the rooms are going to collapse. Which, how would you know that? Fuck if I know.
Also, how do you know if that time's correct? What universe are you in?
Yeah, also, how do you know, like...
How are his watches all the same time?
Yeah.
When you're coming from different universes. And
then everything is collapsing in on itself. Everything's degrading in cheap's early 2000s fashion. You know, it's, see, I didn't see her take the necklace. That's why I'm always like figuring out like what the fuck happened.
I guess, yeah, you're right. I didn't really realize that she was wearing it around her
So
neck.
she didn't kill Jerry. She didn't kill Simon.
She stabbed him in the leg.
Oh, is that what? Yeah. And then she just like hit him in the face.
She didn't kill him. She punched him, stabbed him in the leg.
Yeah. And he passed out. Also, he doesn't have any more white hair. Continuity error.
Yeah. So now she's realized that she has like a minute left because she realized this number means that it's going to implode.
Uh-huh.
And she sees a black hole and she's like, well, I guess I got to jump.
Also, how the fuck would you know to go into the black hole?
Well, you either stay there and get imploded or you jump in the black hole.
But like, why wouldn't she just go through one of the other? I mean, I guess it's the only door left.
I guess in that, also, it once again with this graphic, she should have been dead at this point. She takes so fucking long to jump into this black hole that she should have been whisked away at this point.
Oh yeah, because it sort of looks like a tornado.
Yeah,
and it just looks like everything, but no wind's happening.
No, she's just staring. She's taking her time. She's like, "Ooh, wait, I think I'm dying.
Should I go down this black hole?"
I have jump, bitch.
6:06:59 is the time.
She jumped after, so
I guess.
Back at these cool graphics.
And then we find out that there's maybe millions and millions of rooms in this giant hypercube graphic that's really cool. But
it's so cool.
You know, it looks
like the like old school screensavers you had.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like we're gonna put on some drum and bass and just go listen to this. Like, you know, and then she wakes up laying down and it's the room, but it's not the room, and it's all wobbly, and turns out she's on this sort of green screen water thing.
That's right. This is like this weird water thing that they pick her up out of.
Yeah, but
they got these cool suits on.
She's not wet.
Plastic suits. No one's wet, but they have plastic suits on.
So I totally thought that there was actually water there.
So did I.
Yeah.
It would have been. I would have liked it if she would.
So she turns out she gets out. She's the only one that's made it out. The government facility, some bunker or
they're in like
warehouse.
Where they store airplanes.
Hangar.
There you go. But yeah, there's clearly a bunch of army and government officials and military.
So essentially, this is where they filmed it, but they're like in the other room.
Oh yeah, that's probably exactly where they filmed. The cube's on the other side.
Yeah, and this guy we've seen in everything. The guy that's
asking
for the device.
The military guy.
Mm-hmm. Phil Ankin.
He's very familiar.
Oh, 100%. This guy's...
So yeah, it's just... Oh, you're so right. I think I have a USB drive like that too.
Yeah. So it turns out she's retrieved the device. The guy's name is General Ankin. He's asking for it. He's like, you did a great job.
We'll see if anything's on it. Da-da-da-da. And then, here we go. They kill her.
Which I don't really know why you gotta...
But again, I told you, I kind of liked it. I was like, okay.
No, it's great. It's like more of that Alex Truss nihilistic sort of feeling like...
no one got out alive.
Nobody's getting out of here.
Yeah.
Everything's fucking pointless. We're fucking horrible people.
Basically. And then he makes a phone call, as they all do.
Mm-hmm.
And they go. Phase 2 is terminated. So on to phase 3, which is... Wait, phase 2, cube 2? Phase 3, cube 3? I don't know.
Oh, that should have just been it, too.
I think I looked too far into it. I don't think that means anything.
All right, so I will give you this. Turns out Cube 3 is called Cube 0.
Yes.
And it's actually a prequel.
Oh.
She hates it.
You know, prequels are never my favorite.
They kind of go back to... the drawing board where they go back to the jail suits and everything looks way more arcane than the first one.
Okay.
So everything looks way grittier and they look like they're going through essentially like underground, like sewage passageways. There's a lot of pipes. It's very industrial.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. That was it, guys.
And that was the end of the movie. So going back to their 60659. All right, this is some fucking bullshit here. This is when we look at the watch, when Jerry first finds his other version of his watch, it says 6:02. So essentially meaning that it's only been like 4 minutes.
You got that. I didn't.
From the beginning of the movie to the end.
I'm sorry. It's It's been 4 fucking minutes and they're just walking around in parallel universes.
For fucking ever. So, which is another concept.
Again, but back when I was saying, I was like, how do you know what time it is? How?
Yeah, like...
She just got lucky that she looked at that number and was like, could it be the time? Like...
Yeah, because how would you not be in another room where everything collapsed then? Yeah. Or like all the rooms were collapsing in on each other. Or meaning that if you go into that room, you are spawning different versions of yourself. Not that you're walking into parallel universes, but you're creating parallel universes.
Yeah. Only
within that space. Maybe? You know? So like... I have no idea where I was going with that because it's way beyond my pay grade.
Like, oh God, I don't know. There's just overall, it's a fun watch.
It's a fun watch, and once we start like diving into,
you have much more nostalgic attached to it. This is the first time I've seen it.
Yeah.
Well, now second time that we've rewatched it. You know, it's not one that I'm probably gonna watch again.
That's fair.
But you know, I liked it.
You recommend it?
I'd say if you're a fan of the first one, yes. If you are a Cube fan, yes.
That's what some reports were saying.
Like I said before, just expect less. The acting's meh with some of the characters, but I don't like the lack of the kill scenes. There's really lack of uniqueness. You don't really get any blood. You don't get any like horror.
Yeah.
What else do you want to touch on?
In the alternate ending.
Yeah.
Our general Phil Atkin. Sorry, this is the actor's name. The guy who plays he's just called the general. He's just
general, yeah.
So he lets Kate know that he's only been in there for 6 minutes and 59 seconds.
That she's only been in there.
That the whole thing is experiment in quantum teleportation, essentially. So even though they feel like they've been in there for hours or days or whatever.
That makes that number less stupid.
That they've only been there for 6 minutes?
Yeah.
Maybe. I do like the whole malicious, like, we're just going to put in a bunch of people here that we need to knock off.
Pretty much.
You know,
let's get rid of the lawyer. Let's get rid of that guy who's also got a lawsuit. Let's get rid of this person. Like
who do we got this week that we're knocking off?
Yeah. This week on Cube, Hypercube. Who are we killing off this week?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, it's very like Old Island, for instance, those two, like, in the movie Old with M. Night Shyamalan, where they die of old age, like those two did in that one room. You know, like, but I don't know. You're right, because there was really like no way out for the others, right?
I guess if they were already dead, or no, because
Kate was sent in there to get the stuff from Alex. She succeeded. Like you said before, the purpose of all the other ones is you were just going to die.
Unless if you're talking about parallel universes, then like maybe there should have been at least one version of each to survive or to.
Back to our original theory, like they should have just come across a room where there was like 30 of each of them.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah. Well, Edgar and I are in the works.
We're fucking lost. Right?
We're lost.
Man,
Hypercube has confused the fuck out of us.
We made a wrong turn and we're stuck in a parallel universe of our own design.
We made a big wrong turn and we are lost.
Oh,
I'm not getting out of the cube. I'm telling you right now, I'm not getting out of the cube.
Yeah, because now just like diving into the concept of it all, like now I'm just more confused than I was before.
I can get out of a forest. I can't get out of the cube.
That's what we found out. Oh God! All right, we're gonna wrap this up before we just keep going. We're just gonna keep going on.
You know what? Like I said, if you're a fan of Cube, I do recommend you watch it. Have lower expectations. I'm gonna give it a 4.
I think it's not a bad movie. I do have a lot more nostalgia tied to it. On the rewatch, I do have a lot of fun with time travel movies and some sci-fi lower budget movies because you don't need a big budget to like have fun with some really interesting concepts. So I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10 oscillating quadrangular blenders.
Blenders.
Yeah. Also, our rates don't really mean anything because
For, what is it? Tesseracts? That's what I'm giving it.
What does that mean? Giving it 16?
Shit, it's a...
Bone. Fuck, fine. All right. Courtney, what are we doing next?
What are we doing next? Are we staying in the sci-fi realm? What are we doing?
I don't know. We haven't talked about it. You got any ideas? We can make a wrong turn wherever you want.
We can make a wrong turn wherever we feel like it. Do you have anything off the top of your head?
If we're going to originals and remakes, we can go slasher. I was thinking about When a Stranger Calls, original and remake.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. We can stay on topic with Forever Night and go vampire. Fright Night, original and remake.
Fright Night's good too.
Right, that's a good one. We can touch base back on it if you have any ideas.
Yeah. We might need to sit down and butt our heads together and see where our wrong turn will take us next.
Yeah, because I was also thinking of Texas Chainsaw, but Texas Chainsaw original and remake is less of a remake. Oh no, there's a remake.
Is the remake the one with Matthew McConaughey? No, that's 2.
That's it's either 2 or 3 Next Generation, and then there was a remake with Jessica Biel.
Oh yes, there was.
I forgot about that one. Yeah. I was thinking about the recent one that came out. Was it last year? That was a kind of requel. Sequel. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Don't worry, we'll let you guys know.
All right. Talk to you guys later. Enjoy. Try not to make any wrong turns.
Leave that to us.
Stay out of the cube.